Hey everyone, today I'm doing a skill breakdown for Sir Yvain. Yvain is a neutral marksman that you recruit during Act 1 really early on. He has a decent trait to help generate a little bit of extra gold. It's not a whole lot. You get an extra 6%. It's an extra percent for every 5 levels he goes. This trait is active when you assign him to the merchant as the court chandler, whatever that word is. So, like I said, it's not a whole lot, but if you're trying to get as much gold as possible, he is useful to put there. He has a negative trait of soft, so he just takes extra long to heal if he gets injured. He's not anything super special as far as the marksmen go. He does have a couple skills that make him stand out a little bit, that kind of gives him a little extra potential over some of his peers. He isn't usually my go-to, but I do know a couple other players that I've talked about the characters with, like in the Discord, that do kind of like Yvain. So we'll go ahead and cover what he has to offer. In Tier 1, it's largely the standard stuff you'd expect from your marksman. He has his basic shoot attack, and the upgrades on it are torture and weak spots, as usual, plus 20% damage against a target that is either burning or poisoned. Unlike most of the other marksmen, he actually doesn't have poison arrow. He has fire arrow, which we'll cover up next. So he actually has self-synergy for torture as opposed to the other, like his peers. So you'll need a poison setter if you want to take advantage of weak spots. But there's a lot of poison setters in the game, so that's not a hard ask. He has piercing arrow, so he can pierce through armor. It's 4 armor piercing at max level. It's not a whole lot. And then elusive. Killing unit with shoot reduces the cooldowns by 1. This is much stronger early in the game when your marksmen are going to be getting a lot of kills, and then sort of comes back into usefulness once you've reached the end game and you're using those seasonal relics if you want to use a marksman, because then their killing power goes way up again. Fire arrow is actually the attack I prefer over poison arrow early in the game, just because the burn damage is significantly stronger than the poison damage. It's 70% weapon damage, causes burning, and like I mentioned, the 40% burn damage, much stronger than the poison. It has some pretty decent upgrades too. My favorite one is the first one, crippling hit. The target has 1 less AP, so it provides a little bit of CC on it. Not a whole lot, but it is something, and it is definitely helpful. With Greek Fire, the burning duration is increased by 1, which brings us up to that 2-turn duration. Heated Arrow, just plus 15% weapon damage, so now it's not as much of a damage drop-off from the initial hit when compared to your shoot attack. And Explosive Arrow. Now the fire arrow causes burning to every unit adjacent to the target, so you can spread burn to multiple enemies. This is a decent dot spreader. There's definitely a seasonal bow that kind of really buffs up your dot damage a bit, so this is definitely a good skill if you're going to take that bow. His first unique skill is going to be Piercing Shot. It's a range attack to 75% weapon damage to every unit in a straight line. So it's kind of like his version of Earthshaker, only higher range and way less damage. With the first upgrade, you get Barb Shot to help increase that sort of moderate damage, plus 15%. With Windlass, I think, Piercing Shot's range is increased by 2 tiles, giving it that 11 range, which is really good. Open Wounds, now it causes bleeding. Again, this definitely helps if you're going to take that seasonal bow. And Bodkin Shot. It now gains 4 armor piercing, so it's just boosting the damage a bit more. And if you're watching this video by the time Season 1 passes, I guess, then just be on the lookout for gear in general that boosts dot damage if you're going to be taking these skills, like using a lot of Burning Arrow or taking something like Open Wounds. Burning Arrow is at least good because it spreads targets for the torture buff. He has Scout, the upgradable version, so 1 movement AP and a perception. And the upgrades on this, as usual, are pretty good. 2 movement AP for the first turn, so you can get some setup. Evasive is minus 6 damage received from ranged attacks, which isn't a whole lot, but it can stack with other things to become pretty decent. On the run, the hero gains plus 1 AP at the start of their turn if 5 or more of it was spent on movement in their last turn. This is just a whole lot of stuff to try and get 1 AP back if you basically wasted your last turn on just trying to run around. And then First Dodge. The first ranged hit directed at them will automatically be dodged, so it's just a great way to help just avoid damage altogether. Enemy archers like to target your archers, so this definitely gets use. Deflection is -7 damage from ranged attacks, which does stack with evasive for -13, so now that's fairly substantial. Adrenaline, the hero gains 1 AP when killing a unit. This is another one of those abilities that's definitely a lot stronger early game, and then comes back into usefulness in the late game. Ready, plus 20% Overwatch damage. This one is really strong early game. You're using Overwatch a lot. I stopped using it around Act 2, honestly, but for Act 1, this is a huge boon. For Tier 2, a lot of the standard stuff. We have Aimed Shot, which is just a huge damage move that drains all of your AP. You're generally going to be doing more damage if you take advantage of your bonuses, such as Fire Arrow into Shoot, because of those damage bonuses, getting multiple attacks off than just doing one aimed shot. Aimed shot, however, is useful for just bypassing a lot of armor piercing and resetting your AP. It's very easy if you're doing some positioning to do a move, get a shot, and all of a sudden you are 1 AP short from a second shot. So instead you do aim shot, reset your AP, and get back into the rhythm. That's kind of what its main purpose is, for me at least. The first upgrade is fast aim, so if you kill something, you get 2 movement and AP back, and to try and reposition. My marksmen don't move around a whole lot, so I don't see a lot of use for this even if I do get a kill. Direct hit plus 20% weapon damage for aim shot against an unarmored unit, so if there's an enemy such as an archer in the back, just helps guarantee the kill on them more, or if your teammates put in some work to break the armor on a heavy target, you can follow up with a good hit on them with this. Long range shot, increase the range by 2. Getting extra range on all of your abilities is always helpful. And unblockable shot. Now it can't be blocked. So now if there's an enemy who you can't seem to circle around to get them on the side or from behind, this will honestly be better than doing something like burning arrow into regular shoot that I mentioned before, if they're going to be blocking it. Block is a huge damage reduction against your hits, so this is a good workaround for that. Next is dash, a mobility move. All mobility moves in this game are great. You just move a short to long distance, whatever you need, for a super cheap cost with a low cooldown, and don't provoke attacks of opportunity. The first skill upgrade isn't a huge one. I'm not a big fan. Keen Eye decreased the AP cost of Overwatch by 1 after dashing. There's like some combo potential here during early game, but again, even though I use Overwatch a lot, I don't find myself dashing and then overwatching. Usually I'm doing dash so then I can get a shot on someone that turn. Sprint to decrease the cost by 1, and persistence reduce the cooldown by 1. So that brings it down to this 1 AP cost, 2 turn cooldown, which is absolutely amazing. And extended dash increased the range by 2, so now you have a max range of 8, which is also amazing. Unique to Yvain as a marksman, and this is one of the main skills that is sort of brought up for why some of the players I've talked to like Yvain as a marksman over some of the others. This does give him some stronger closing potential on enemies as they get weaker, and it does give him extra AP generation. With Adrenaline, he now gets 2 per kill, which is a 50% refund. So Assassination is plus 20% weapon damage against units with 25% or less vitality, so just extra damage as they get weaker. With Remorseless, this boosts up to 30% weapon damage, which is good. And with weak spots, if they're bleeding or poisoned, plus 15% weapon damage against them. So this does put some merit to take open wounds for piercing shots if you want to self-synergize, but you do have other party members, so being able to set poison or bleeding from one of them isn't a tough ask. With all these bonuses together, you're looking at like 45% damage, I believe? Yeah, which is huge, almost 50% against a low health target. It's great. With Brutality, you increase the threshold up to 40%. That's much easier. You're going to get a lot more damage bonus out of this. And then Vigor. This is where that AP refund I was talking about comes from. When you kill an enemy, you get 1 AP back. With Adrenaline, that's 2. And most of these moves are going to be costing like 4 AP, with Fire Arrow, Shoot, those are the ones you're using the most. I guess on Piercing Shot, it would be, a net cost of 3. It's very good, and AP refunds are one of the strongest mechanics in the game to keep that turn going and trying to get more kills. First shot, it's a 15% weapon damage bonus. If you've spent no AP, moving AP is okay, so just a strong opener each round. It'd be nice if this was more persistent, but it is a decent damage buff. And since he is more fire-based, he doesn't have any poison attacks. Pyromania just gives you 50% extra burning damage. This one isn't crazy good unless you're really going to try and build into that dot damage, which is more of a thing now, but definitely something you just want to take if you're going to go for that style specifically. Finally, getting into tier 3, we have his last unique ability, and this one's unique to him. We have Rain of Arrows. It's basically an upgrade over Poison Bomb, mostly. It's a 100% weapon damage attack in a 3x3 area, and it ignores block, so that's really good. Immediately stronger than Poison Bomb with its 70%. However, it does have a cost of 6, and unlike Poison Bomb, there's a lot less ways to reduce the cost of this. 6 is a lot. 100% weapon damage is good percentile-wise, but you're definitely going to want some good gear. Thankfully, there is some once you reach endgame. Until then, this ability is not going to be great. It's a tier 3 ability, so you're going to be getting to this ability in the mid to late game for the story, and unfortunately in that section of the game, Marksmen still are not good. So this will come back into usefulness once you've reached the seasonal content and the end game. The upgrades on it, though, Quiver of Plenty reduces the cost by 1. Yeah, that means its default cost is 7, which is way too much, I think. Like, way too much. 6 itself is still a lot, but bearable. So you're definitely going to want to take this if you're taking Rain of Arrows. With Broadheads, it's an extra 25% weapon damage, so it's now 125%. Again, if there's some enemy archers grouped up, this makes it pretty good for getting them. Just a flat damage buff, 15% with Heavy Bolts. So now it's 150% at base, and then 140 against unarmored. So now 6 for 140, that's not bad. 6 for 115, that's not the worst. And then the last one with Crippling Volley, this is actually a pretty good CC on it. 1 less AP for everyone struck by this ability. Since it's an AoE, you can actually get a decent number of units with this. We have the sort of infamous Cover Expert passive up next. I've said it before, I'll just briefly cover it again. The effects from this are good, but due to the fact that they're so conditional upon being in cover, just drops this passive so hard into becoming such a niche ability, I pretty much never take it. At base, +1 range for all skills from cover, Sharpshooter plus 10% weapon damage from cover, Perseverance plus 20% physical debuff resist in cover, Sustained Armor, all your armor is unbreakable in cover. All the other ones are pretty good. This one I just wouldn't take. Marksmen have pretty much no armor to begin with, so having 2 unbreakable armor is not great. And Protected, 10% damage reduction while in cover. The next passive, though, Long Reach. Marksmen have an upgradable version. Other classes, such as Sages and Arcanists, have this, but not the upgrades. Long Reach is a great one. Always want to get range buffs to all of your abilities. Upgrades here are pretty decent as well. 10% weapon damage against a unit at least 6 tiles away. The next one is probably the worst of them, though. Far Shot provides +1 range for a skill when you're at maximum AP, which is basically just your first ability of the turn. You could definitely put this somewhere else to try and boost your damage. Disengage, plus 10% damage while disengaged. That means there's no enemies within 5 tiles of, in this case, Sir Yvain. And the last one is Prepared, plus 25% weapon damage for the first attack of the encounter. So your first attack of the encounter, this is pretty good because it does combo with First Shot. That's a 40%, and then whatever damage buffs you're scaling off of with all of the other skills available to you. So your first attack of the encounter can actually get a good number of bonuses to it, and even as bad as Marksmen are until you get the seasonal gear, still not a bad hit. The follow-up is definitely more questionable. With Evasion, they dodge the first incoming melee attack each turn, so that applies for attacks of opportunity if you don't want to use dash or it's on cooldown. Scout, just an extra movement AP and perception, a little bit more mobility. And then Hunter. This is basically the boss passive that doesn't work all the time against most of the bosses. When there's only one enemy left, all skill cost is reduced by 1. If it's a normal fight, who cares? There's only one of them left anyways. They're gonna die. You usually don't need this kind of help. And if it's a boss, almost all of them summon adds or start with adds. So the uptime on this is just honestly pretty minuscule. And that covers it for Sir Yvain. He definitely has some unique things going on about him. I think when Marksmen finally get their rework, I would probably put some money on it for him to be towards the top of the Marksman list in their new state, and I'm actually pretty excited to see what they'll all be like in that case, and I'm definitely curious to see how Sir Yvain will stack up then. For now, I do think that with the Season 1 Chained God gear, he can definitely put in some good work if this is the marksman you want to go in on. He's just not probably my personal pick. He's probably like number 3. But the two that I do like over him are also alignment locked, so if you're going either Rightful Christian or Tyrant Old Faith, this probably would be the marksman I would use. I hope this is useful, and as always, thank you for watching.